all negative activity around. Mama, we the daughters of earth, the sweet crone trinity, have been inspired in the spirit of compassion for the well-being of our ancient cosmic family, to understand why you connected this trio to demonstrate the magic of your power, to awaken and protect our universal ancient family. Welcome to Talk with MamaYAH on Truth Uncompromised. Empower our ability with the authority of our common purpose. We are one in the best interests of our global family, in your essence as ancient of ancients. Mama, please allow this trinity to naturally raise upright our fallen sisters, to elevate them to their true celestial level in mind and spiritual substance. The sweet crone trinity, MamaYAH El, Sister Myra, and Sila Eliana Bay. Good evening. This is MamaYAH. Tonight we'll be talking on higher dimensions. The key to growth is the introduction of higher dimensions of consciousness into our awareness, according to Lao Tzu. About 5 years ago, I had this epiphany that eons and eons ago, we agreed to participate in an experiment to see how far we could separate from God. The experiment is over. We failed. It's time to celebrate. We are all connected, all bearing the seed of divinity. This is the way we start and the way we develop into eternity. It is only while in third dimension physical form, and because of the greatest separation of our higher self from the personality, that we experience the illusion that we stand alone. When we experience great soul growth in some small but profound manner, all benefit. All substance in this universe flows to us and through us. We are all one. Tonight we're discussing the 6th through the 10th dimension. Of course, we understand we live in a 3-dimensional world. We move on to a 4th dimension at our death. And in this century, we are able to experience a 5th dimensional experience without passing through the 4th dimension. 6th dimensional space is any space that has 6 dimensions. That is 6 degrees of freedom. And that needs 6 pieces of data or coordinates to specify a location in this space. There are an infinite number of these, but those of most interest are simpler ones that model some aspect of the environment. According to Michio Kaku's superstring theory, the 5th and 6th dimensions are where the notion of possible worlds arises. If we could see on through to the 5th dimension, we would see a world slightly different from our own that would give us a means of measuring the similarity and differences between our world and other possible ones. In the 6th dimension, we would see a plane of possible worlds where we could compare and position all the possible universes that start with the same initial conditions as this one. For example, the Big Bang. In theory, if you could master the fifth and sixth dimension, you could travel back in time or go to different futures. We do this with memory and projection into the future. So for about 15 seconds, go back in time to a time when you experienced great joy, and then go into the future to where you believe you would be extremely happy. 15 seconds. In the seventh dimension, you have access to the possible worlds that start with different initial conditions. Whereas in the fifth and sixth, the initial conditions were the same and subsequent actions were different. Here, in the seventh dimension, everything is different from the very beginning of time. The eighth dimension gives us a plane of such possible universal histories, each of which begins with different initial conditions and branches out infinitely. That is why they are called infinities. In the ninth dimension, we can compare all the possible universe histories, starting with all the different possible laws of physics and initial conditions. In the 10th dimension, we arrive at the point in which everything possible and imaginable is covered. Beyond this, nothing can be imagined by us, which makes it the natural limitation of what we can conceive in terms of dimension. Now, on the blog at Divine Connection Church, after this show, you will have links to more information about the 10 dimensions. There'll be a video. And then there'll be information about the 7th dimension and the 1st to the 12th dimensions. So apparently, we're just beginning. The Vision Alignment Project offers people's view of a new vision for our world. This vision is a vision for the great beings of nature. We see a world where everyone knows that the great beings of nature are alive and willing to partner with us to create a comfortable environment for us to live in, where the clouds are known as great beings of the sky who will shade us as we ask, and who are to be befriended for the benefit of all, where the rains are known as great beings of the water who will advance or recede at our request, where the winds are known as great beings of the air, alive and empowered, who will gust or slow to a gentle breeze when we call in the name of Great Spirit. We see the sun, now known to all and everyone as a living being, who is the light and the way, who is always there for us, who never needs worship, but who will reveal its great love to all who approach with innocence and a gentleness of heart. For indeed, as we hold our attention on the great being who is the sun in the moments just before dusk or after the dawn, we recharge ourselves with light and love. And as we hold our intention, our inner intention on the great being who is the sun in our quiet, meditative, prayerful time, we become a sun unto ourselves. I'm going to refer you to the Philippe Matthews show. It will be linked at divineconnectionchurch.wordpress.com. This particular program discusses Dr. Gabriel Oyibo's theorem of God Almighty as grand unifying theory. Gagut, G-A-G-U-T, is based upon God Goddess that is a wave called spirit, with a wavelength and a vibration that manifests as mankind in order to affect God having a human experience. We must deny and unlearn all negative ideas of ourselves. The bottom line of this theorem is be yourself. I'm still here. Humanity was not born to quarrel. This is an essay by Steve Beckow, and it is credited, the visual of a man walking into light is credited to David McElroy. Thanks to Sitara for a fertile conversation. In my view, humanity was not born to quarrel, but to love. In light of that, I propose a new model of meditation. I don't know whether it is new. I propose another model. Love, and by that I mean universal or transformative love, and not the mild affection we usually feel. Once seen and discovered, so to speak, becomes even after the baseline, the standard to refer to. One always wants to return to love and its sister space, bliss. Then one discovers that love is our very nature, that we don't need to go and come to it. We simply need to remove the obstacles to it, the overburden that covers it, the barriers to love. If all of us are not actually trying to get to transformative love, I'd recommend it. I'm going to speak as if we all are for the sake of argument. And to any who advise against trying, no, effort is necessary in the beginning to create them. There comes a time when effort is counterproductive. I agree, but that comes after a time of effort. If the object of our action is to mediate, then what we want to do is to remove one issue after another from the space until the two parties are restored to love. Take the issues one at a time. It does not matter if you take the easiest or the most difficult first. It depends on your skill set, your preferences, your work method. Allow the affected party to speak and be heard without interruption. Then the other party also without interruption. Keep going back and forth until the issue is resolved. Then go on to the next. Do not be satisfied until each issue is flat and the two participants are restored to love. I am so filled with hope these days. Although trying situations arise, one by one they get handled, and I am restored to self again. Surely that says something. If by removing the rubbish from ourselves, we end up in our peerless self, then there must be a direction to life, a preferred direction. And that preferred direction is just that, to emerge from our residue, leave the third dimension behind, and go forward into the. Just picture that. Imagine it. Now, perhaps, walk into it. That was a reading from the Golden Age of Gaia.com, Humanity Not Born to Quarrel. The Divine Mother on the Divine Plan, written on November 11, 2015 by Steve Beckow. The divine plan is always operative, but it is never so visible as when events of tremendous magnitude and significance are happening, such as our ascension. Here is the Divine Mother discussing it in 2012. The Divine Mother is not an ascended master or goddess. She and the Father are one. It is simply that she creates, preserves, and transforms. That is, that she is active, and he is transcendentally still. I'd like to seek more information from you now on what we know as the divine plan, said Steve Beckow. Now, the divine plan for ascension, the divine plan for life, there is a divine plan for all of it. Can you, for our listeners who are unfamiliar with the notion of there being a divine plan, can you discuss this, perhaps the divine plan for this ascension, please? Divine Mother replied, I would be very happy and honored to discuss the divine plan, and yes, the divine plan for ascension, and your divine plan. And I do not simply mean you, Steve. I mean everyone who will ever listen to this broadcast. Because, my beloved children, it is important, essential, that you understand not just cognitively, but deep within your core, that not only are you part of the divine plan, but that you, within that, have your divine plan, that you are critical. And what you think of as worthy enough, important enough, and always have been, that you have a divine plan. Now, so often upon this planet, this beautiful planet of Gaia, there have been so many varying opinions about the divine plan and your divine plan. And so before I speak of ascension, let me speak of this. There are so many of you that rejected the notion of your divine plan and the divine plan because you wanted to be in charge, that you did not want to think that you were simply a puppet in a prearranged theater, that the free will and free choice was exclusive to you, and that you could vary and go as far as you wanted in terms of what you chose to do, that nothing was fated, F-A-T-E-D, fated. Well, you've tried that, haven't you? And in so many situations, it has caused war and mayhem, lack and separation. The Father and the Father through me have never dictated to you how you will unfold your plan. But make no mistake about this. You, in conjunction with all, and think of that, not only with your guides, but with your grid, with your collective, with the universe, and with us, have chosen your plan. Now, even in the human realm, it is beyond comprehension that you would not wish to align and to do this. And that is why your heart yearns and directs you to undertake certain actions, thoughts, behaviors, direction. And that is why when you are doing certain things and moving in certain directions, you know your joy. You say, I feel happy. I feel like I am on track. It is because you are within the unfoldment of your plan. And your plan is magnificent. It is the full expression, particularly in this incarnation, of who you are, of your unique spark. So do not underestimate your plan within the grander plan. Now, I cannot speak to you about the totality of the divine plan. You would think that I was speaking in an intergalactic language, and chances are that some of you would understand, but the majority of you would not. But I am most certainly pleased and honored to speak to you about the plan for Gaia, for the human collective, and for ascension at this time. And for that, I bring you back. I bring you back to the beginning. The plan was for you to inhabit a form and to know and be love and joy, diverse, unique, flexible. The plan was for you to be inter- and trans-dimensional. Did you wander and take some of those scenic byways, those detours that I have referred to this night? Yes. And that free will with all the elements of what you think of as evil and darkness, drama, intrigue, you have excelled at that. And you are also very tired and sick of it, aren't you? So now, you return to that alignment of beauty, of truth in form. And this is what is unique about this element of the divine plan, that you are holding on to these magnificent forms, what you think of as bodies. And part of that, beloved ones, is admiring and cherishing and loving your body because you designed it. You chose it. Yes, you were part of the architectural team. Is it transferring into a different molecular base? Yes. But your bodies, to take your bodies and be in the higher realms where you have always belonged and let go of those densities, that quagmire that you got stuck in for a very long time. Now is the restoration of the divine plan. And it is for you to be the embodiment of love. It is you, each of you, bright angels, starseeds, gatekeepers, humans, earth keepers, to have a physical experience of being that embodiment of love. This was part of the plan, the part that involved you and this planet and the ripple effect out to the multiverse of your star brothers and sisters. Why do you think they wish to participate, to witness? This is highly unique. The humans are going to be trans-dimensional in form. After all this time, they are going to embody love and the divine qualities. It is worth having a look at. It is worth participating in. So, our word, to use a human word, our essence, to use my terminology, is being brought to bear upon this unfoldment of shift in consciousness. This is not unconscious. This is not subconscious. So this is a conscious process, an event, if you choose. And it is also, at the same time, the consciousness, as you know, of the heart fully awakening, of the spirit fully awakening, of the soul fully awakening and anchoring in form. Now, when I say I bring our focus to this, is it all of our focus, the Father and mine? Of course not. But the energies that are brought with what you think of as the company of heaven, the ascended ones, and the Father and I, is far beyond your comprehension. And it is certainly adequate to accomplishing this transition. And as this transition is completed, including the shift in your structures, then you will continue on. This is the beginning, not the end. Each of you is infinite and eternal. Will the day come in terms of what you think of as time, when you will simply reemerge? Yes, but even that is an instant. So the divine plan, let me be very concrete with all of you, is to leave the old third dimension behind. You are making peace with this, and therefore with yourself, your families, your community, your planet. Even as we speak, it is leaving that behind, as if you would leave a cloak or an old skin behind, activating, as you do, different markers of your DNA, becoming more capable of holding the higher frequencies. And most of you are well underway. Some of you are completely done, new form, but still looking as you do, or how you choose to appear, because that is part of interdimensional reality. As you activate different markers within your DNA, within your crystalline form, you may restore yourself to 22 or be 75. It doesn't matter. And in that form, you will be the embodiment of love. Yes, this channel has joked about this transition from carbon to crystalline. Number one, why do you think we have been so emphatic about her, emphatic with her about working with the diamond energy, asking each of you? Is it part of this transformation? Does this answer your question? Steve, It certainly does, Mother. And again, I have to tell listeners what a joy it is to work with you, because you answer my questions before I ask them. And it makes my job very easy. I want to confess that I'm one of those people who said, I'm not going to be a puppet and follow a divine plan. I have my own free will in this matter. And then I have another thought that I really am, at essence, the Father. So this really is my plan, Divine Mother. That is correct. And that is the wisdom emerging. It is the maturity of the soul to know. It is the immature, and we would say adolescent, but very often adolescents are far more mature than adults. But shall we say the spiritually young one who fights and thinks that there is a controlling authority? There is not. It is, and that is why I put the emphasis. This is not just the divine plan. This is your divine plan. So that is my reading for the evening. This is MamaYAH. And we have 18 callers. I'm going. And you are welcome to hit *6 and come into the queue to respond, to ask questions, to make comments about the reading this evening. And I think I know who this is immediately. Good evening. Your mic is open.
Thank you, beloved MamaYAH. 208 Tom here.
How are you, Tom?
Well, I'm late, but I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, I did catch the thing that really caught my attention. Of course, the subject matter, that's right up my alley or right down my alley, whichever you want to take it. The ascension. But you mentioned something that's just in the last little bit, a brief moment, if you will, about, I think you said something to the effect that on this channel, some of you have joked about becoming crystalline versus or carbon-based. Did I misunderstand?
Right.
I mentioned.
Yes, our DNA is changing.
What's that?
Our DNA has been changing ever since the harmonic conversion back in the 80s.
That's part of ascension, is it not?
Yes. Yeah, we're ascending into higher dimensions of being.
I just didn't want to think I misunderstood what you said, but I've mentioned many times about we're becoming crystalline based versus carbon based, but I didn't say it in a joking manner, so I kind of maybe misunderstood what you said, but
I was doing a reading from another site, so I was talking from another person's reading or with the Divine Mother. Yes.
Okay. Somebody else.
So they were talking about that particular channel. Was joking.
So it comes back to
I'm not joking.
Context, does it not?
Excuse me?
I said then it really comes back to content and context and what perceptive we're receiving. And
okay, but Tom, you were late and you didn't understand that this was a reading from 2012. We are now in 2014. And things have been speeding up.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
our spiritual ascension is very much quickening, and we've already had 2 waves of ascension, and we've had one this year, and we've got another one coming over the hill just very briefly. So anyway, I just wanted to chime in and tell you, MamaYAH, thank you. Your knowledge and wisdom and your readings, they definitely ring up and resonate with me, and I want to thank you for that. I hope everybody else is grasping that, because this whole process, it affects everybody on this planet, of course, some of them aren't going to get it, but they're still going to have a chance to get it. They're going to be put in a safe location, and they're still going to have a chance to ascend. And like I said, the spiritual ascension we're going through is very much quickening at this point. And so with that, I yield.
Okay, and with everything that I've read, just continue to visit divineconnectionchurch.wordpress.com. And every week I post everything that I read with the links to the sources. So, does anyone else have a comment? Thanks, Tom, for calling in. Were there any questions on anything that I read? Any comments? I appreciate your comments because it's not all about what you hear, but it's your interpretation, your perspective. Okay, we have caller from area code 256.
Love and light. This is Amira in Alabama.
How are you?
I'm terrific. And the comment I want to make is the movie was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It was, don't tell me, the name is right on the tip of my tongue because he was albino.
Baby.
Baby.
Yeah,
and he was albino, so he was so white that he was referred to as, the movie was called Powder.
That's right.
Powder.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go home. He wanted to find a home where he fit, and he fit within the energy of the universe. So that was my take on it, and it was a very well movie for this time and thought process that I'm going through. I appreciate the suggestion of the movie, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you, MamaYAH. Thank you, and I enjoyed listening to your call. I yield.
Terrific. Well, let me tell you my favorite part of that movie was when the hunter shot the deer and Powder took the hand of the hunter and then put his own hand on the deer, and the hunter could feel the deer's pain. Do you remember that, Amira?
Yes. He didn't get it. Even though Powder explained to him why he did it and what he was going through, he said, you don't understand what you're doing, so I'm letting you see what you're doing. And instead, he interpreted it as Powder put a hex on him. And eventually, he went right back to his old self at the end. So, yes, I did. I was hoping that he would get it and understand it and be the loving being, love all life. All life is precious. That's what I was hoping for him, but it didn't work out that way.
Well, the thing about it is maybe the hunter didn't get it, but I, as a viewer, got it.
Yeah, me too.
So, you're bringing that to my awareness lets me know that I learned a lesson and that we are always learning. Well, this is a schoolhouse. Gaia, the planet, is like a university. So we come here to learn lessons. And that was what, I don't know if you heard the beginning of the reading, but...
Yes, I was on time.
Okay. But the reading about humans were not born to quarrel, that we can do exercises with each other to smooth out issues. And I kind of learned that from a book that I read by Shirley MacLaine, Out on a Limb, where she was having difficulties with her husband, her ex-husband, and her massage therapist taught her how to go to the higher self of her husband with her higher self and let the higher selves communicate with each other. And then when in time the third dimensional selves would find peace and harmony, which they did. So I use that experiment or that exercise when I have difficulty with other people. I talk to them through my higher self. But we are actually raising our vibration above the solar plexus, above the heart chakra, above the throat chakra, above the third eye chakra, to get above the crown chakra so that we can actually engage with our higher selves. Make sense?
Yes, it does. Sound like a great retreat for the beach, 3 days.
Well, you know, I live five miles from the beach, and I went last Friday for the first time in months. You know, so a lot of times we're right at the beach and don't take advantage of it, you know. But the object of the higher dimensions is to be able to imagine being at the beach in this moment, you know, hearing the waves, using our senses to smell the salt water, you know, to feel the water rushing over us. Because we are creative, we are co-creators with the universe. So we, in fact, created the beach, you see?
Okay.
Yeah, so the object is to expand your possibilities, to expand your visual creativeness.
Wonderful.
So you're doing creative visioning, more or less. Moving from the third dimension, past the fourth, through the fifth, to the sixth, and beyond. And I have links at divineconnectionchurch.wordpress.com on this talk on higher dimensions that you can explore. Now, there is going to be a video there that I watched this week of Dr. Gabriel Oyibo, who developed the theorem of Gagut, God Almighty, is grand unifying theory. And that is based upon God Goddess, that is a wave called spirit, with a wavelength and a vibration that manifests as mankind in order to affect God having a human experience. So we must begin, Amira, to deny and unlearn all the negative ideas of ourselves, all limitation. And the bottom line of this theorem is be yourself, and to be the greatest part of yourself that you can imagine, that you can image, that you can see. How does that feel?
It feels like a wonderful thing to achieve.
And so I also believe that even though the reading said that this is not unconscious and this is not subconscious, however, when we go to sleep, we are free. We are freer to move around outside of our bodies. And that's called astral projection. We live in astral projection when we're asleep. Some people experience it in their awakening hours. Has anyone on this call ever experienced astral projection? And while people decide to come into the queue because they are listening, we need to hear your voice too. Okay, we got one. All right. We have area code 951.
This is Terry in California. Astral projection as an astral travel?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I have.
You have experienced that. You're very faint. I can't hear you very well.
Stop a minute. Let me remove something.
Hello?
Is that better?
Much better. Tell me your name again.
Terry from California.
Yes. Hi, Terry.
Hi, MamaYAH. Yes, I was in the Orient. I went onto a ship. I went underwater and immediately opened up into another planet.
That's beautiful. Have you ever seen the film The Abyss?
I don't think I have.
I would suggest that you get that movie and see that movie, The Abyss.
Okay.
And also Contact. Did you see Contact?
No, I have not.
Yes. Look at those two films. You'll really appreciate them. Okay?
And I remember that astral travel so vividly, and I even told myself I knew it was real. I knew this was real.
So you actually had a multi-dimensional experience.
Yes.
Or a trans-dimensional experience. Any way you look at it, you were in a higher dimension. Was there anyone there? Were there any other beings there?
Yes, there was. It was full.
Full of people, full of beings?
Yes, full of people. From the
And
Orient.
so have you written this down?
No, I've never written it down.
I would suggest that you do. You can write it in a journal, in a diary, or if you feel like sharing it in a blog. You could write it in a comment on our blog, divineconnectionchurch.wordpress.com. But write it. Every detail that you can remember, because it might be very helpful to other people. And that's what we're here to do, to help each other.
Yes.
Okay, Terry?
I will. So it's divineconnectionchurch.word?
WordPress.
Okay.
.com. That's where I post all the information that I read with the links. Okay?
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have area code 248.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I am well. Thanks so much.
And your name?
I'm Deb from Detroit. And
okay, Deb.
I was calling. I apologize. I did not hear probably most of the reading because by the time that I got my aunt on the line and we joined the call, you were just finishing up. But I was looking forward to your call because I know that you said that the MamaYAH call is to discuss aspects of the divine feminine. And I was
exactly
very pleased to hear that because I know that the times that we're living in with the return of Nibiru represents the return of the divine feminine energies to the earth. And this transformation and healing is, it's because of those feminine energies. And so having endured, most of this earth having endured the ravages of the patriarchy, I am just really overjoyed to see that Mother is getting acknowledged and getting her due, because I keep thinking of, as above, so below. Things here on this earth mirror things that are in heaven. And I have difficulty with the concept that, of a patriarchal creator, God, solely. And so when I hear this, we know that the mother is what brings forth life. The mother is what nurtures, and the mother is the peacemaker, the healer. And so those are the energies that, uplift me, sustain me, and most of the people that I know are awakening to that. And so that's why I said, I want to hear this call. The one thing I was trying to understand, because I hear it referred to a lot, and I did not know where it came from, the terminology of Father Yah Allah. And I can kind of understand that it's, I guess, to embrace both the Christian and Muslim concepts of God. And then when I heard you say MamaYAH, I'm saying, okay, that's good. That's the feminine aspect, so that we have the masculine and the feminine in balance. But I don't know where, is it the church that you referred to that teaches that cosmology?
DivineConnectionChurch.wordpress.com is a blog that I was inspired to create about maybe 4 years ago by two of my male friends. They said, you should have a church. I said, so we made a big joke about that. But then that very night, I created DivineConnectionChurch.wordpress.com. And you can go there and you can read back those several years. But in the last 3 months, I have been posting calls of the sweet crone Trinity, which is myself, MamaYAH, L, Molina Bay, and then Sister Myra, who is an astrologist, and Sila Eliana Day, who is an elder. We are all elders. But we had 9 weeks of telephone calls, just 3 of us. And then we branched out into this call in April. We did the first one on April 13th. So you could go to YouTube at Truth UnCompromised, and you can listen to the past calls. They're also linked at DivineConnectionChurch.wordpress.com under Talk with MamaYAH. So everything that I say on this call can be heard on the YouTube videos, and everything that I read can be read in the subsequent posts with the links to where I got this information from.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Very, very enlightening call.
Well, it's time. You see, we're in a third-dimensional world where we have duality. Once we move into the fifth-dimensional world, we're moving into more oneness. Mm-hmm. So actually, Mother, Father, God got us all that is one. We are all one. There's really only one of us here. We're atoms in the body of the creative force.
Mm-hmm.
However, we agreed to participate in an experiment to see how far we could separate from God. The experiment's over. We failed. It's time to celebrate.
Okay. So
how does that
energy
feel?
Creator, prime source creator in the cosmology that I've heard the group, the Truth Uncompromised Network, refer pretty consistently to Father Yah Allah and then MamaYAH. I've heard, for your call. And so I was, well, I don't know how to put this. I want to put it delicately. I don't want to step on any toes, but it's slightly different than my orientation, which is that, say, like prior to the dynastic era in Kemet, people worship the divine feminine and prime source creator, the mother, And so in terms of going back, return to source, and the return of the feminine energies, that is what I feel. And I'm not the patriarchal Father God image, just does not resonate with me. So that's why I was looking forward to, like more information and studies about the feminine energies. But what you say is, I believe that's absolutely correct about there really is only one, and the energy, source energy. But and everybody doesn't have to have the same understanding, so that's perfectly fine too. But for me, it resonates as feminine, and not the father, that sort of thing. That does not.
Well, my belief is that women forfeited their power so that their sons could experience power. However, it's gone too far.
Mm.
So it's time to reel them back in and to nurture them back to the beginning. And we are at the beginning. We're at the end of the snake's tail, which is the head, again. Everything is circular.
Mm.
And we are at the beginning of the new world. I don't want to get caught up in New Age, New World, all of that. I don't want to get caught up in all of that jargon.
Right.
But we have returned to the feminine principle.
Okay.
Whereas she had been put away for so long. And I would suggest that you go back and listen to the show from last week. Were you on the show last week when we were talking about the crone?
Yes, I did. Some of that.
So this is what's happening. These are words that were taken in a derogatory connotation about older women. But where do young women learn from?
Mm-hmm. Wise, older woman, yeah.
Yes, and younger men learn from older men too.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of older men are seen as femininely weak because they can't do the things that they could do in their youth. Well, the basic point is that old age is returning to the childhood, the innocence.
Mm-hmm.
And that is generally the realm of the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And we are old souls too. So it stands to reason that we leave those ways of competition, competitiveness, conquering, warring, arguing, quarreling, and we move toward nurturing, loving, caring, which are feminine principles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was encouraged to hear a couple of the gentlemen on the calls over the last couple of weeks, speak about the divine feminine. And I always think that is such a beautiful thing, when a man is in touch with that, because that's mother. That's mother energy. That's the healing energy that we need. So,
well, Sister Myra would differentiate between mother because she puts the S on the front of it, which becomes smother, and mama, ma being the first syllable of magic, ma, magic. So there's a lot to learn from the other two members of this trinity. They usually come on the first week of the month, and then I will carry it through. But I love it when the callers come in because you bring your wisdom, your perspective, your knowledge to the conversation.
Well, I thank you for hosting the forum. I really do. And with that, I will yield.
Well, I love you. Thank you. And we have another caller, Beverly. Well, maybe I'm not supposed to say your name. I don't know. Area code 610.
Joan?
Yes.
Hi, this is Beverly.
Yes.
And it's been a while since I've been on your call because I've been traveling since April. And I co-host with Linda and Denise on Monday nights.
Yes.
I just want to share something with everyone. As far as astral projection, I know something about it.
Okay.
And I normally, or I have projected when I'm in meditation. And I've been to some far out places, and it's awesome, and it's a beautiful experience. But I do it when I'm in meditation, and when I can really quiet my mind. Since I've been traveling on the East Coast, I haven't been able to go anywhere outside of the 3D area. But on the West Coast, the energy is different, and I'm able to go to that place where I can really, quiet my mind and concentrate and go to such wonderful places. So I just want to share with everyone, yes, you can do that.
So do you think geography has anything to do, because there is Mount Shasta, Big Sur on the West Coast. Do you think that geography has anything to do with that, Beverly?
Not really. The reason why I say that is because I'm in a different environment. I'm in a quiet place in my home. Traveling, I'm with other people, and I can't take myself there because there's so much energy here and people, needing me, asking me to do things, and I can't. At night when I lay down, when I rest, I literally go to sleep. And where I go, I can't tell you. But when on that West Coast, before I traveled to the East, I could actually sit in the yard, close my eyes, and be fully aware of where I am. And I normally would meditate first thing in the morning around 8 o'clock, between 8 and 10, before the sun came up and got too hot. So I'm just saying that, you'd like to refer to movies. I'm going to give you a movie so you can understand what I'm saying. The movie Lucy, how she was sitting in that chair, seeing all these different things.
Yes.
If you quiet your mind, you'll be amazed what comes in. So that's what I wanted to share. And I do appreciate your show. I love it. And only got a few more weeks here before I travel back west, so I'll be able to come on more. Okay?
Excellent. I'm so happy that you're there. And I do want to mention that why don't you tell us a little bit about the Monday show with you and Linda and Denise?
We cover a wide variety of topics. Linda, pretty much, whatever Father lays on her heart and mind, that's the topic that she brings in, and, Denise and I, we chime in and share. It's just pretty much where we are right here, right now. that's pretty much where the topics are. We've had some deep topics. That's all I can say. And just like your show, we're under Rhonda's network, and you can get it on YouTube.
Right.
I guess we cover banking, where are you now pretty much, about humanity, how we can help, how we can change the world. And I guess it's from a female's perspective, But we have a lot of guys on the show supporting us, and that's a beautiful thing because, like you said, we're all one. We're all one, And when we all do well, we do well together. And when we don't, we all fall together. So that's why we have to see it collectively. But the show is worth everybody going back, checking it out, listening to the replays and what have you. This coming Monday, I believe Linda's going to take a break. She wanted to take a week off because we've been going strong almost a year now. It'll be a year June. So.
Okay, well, I'm inspired, and every time I hang up from this call, the next thing that I'm supposed to talk about comes. So I do a little research, and generally I get led right to what I'm supposed to read, and then particularly I want people to pay attention to Dr. Gabriel Oyibo on the Philippe Shock Matthews show. It's a little long, it's lengthy, but it's going to be linked at divineconnectionchurch.wordpress.com under this talk on higher dimensions. And he has developed a theorem called Gagut, which is God Almighty, his grand unifying theory. And it's just that. What I believe is that as we as humans are God having a human experience. So God is more or less, and I always say God is all that is because I'm inclusive, are more or less reuniting the atoms of the creative source. And we are moving to a higher dimension. So as Tom spoke about in the beginning of the Q&A, we are transforming our DNA from carbon-based to crystalline. Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physicist. But Dr. Michel Kaku is a physicist. And you should look him up on YouTube. I've heard him speak, but he passed on. I heard him speak before he passed on. And he is Asian. He's an Asian physicist.
Could you spell his name for me so I can look for him on YouTube?
Just look up Kaku, Kaku, and I will find something and add it to the blog so that you can. But he talks about the string theory, the superstring theory, the fifth and the sixth dimension, are where the notion of possible worlds arises. If we could see on through to the fifth dimension, we would see a world slightly different from our own that would give us a means of measuring the similarity and the differences between our world and other possible ones. And I would think that Terry, who called in and spoke, she experienced that when she went underwater. We experienced that in our dreams. I remember dreaming and flying through the air on a couch, and it was very real to me. Now, I did go hang gliding in the mountains of Tennessee, where Tennessee, Georgia, and North Carolina meet. And that could have been a precursor to my hang gliding, but I definitely remember being in the air on a couch.
Right.
And I've had...
I think, in my belief system is that dream state most times is more real than this 3D limitation state.
Well, that is
we are the higher. We are high beings. We are.
Yes, that is exactly.
But we're limited walking around here.
Yeah.
So when we go into sleepy time, we wake up. The spirit man wakes up and leaves the body.
Yes.
And I can tell sometimes when I have a rough time coming back in. I ache, my feet, I got a headache. I just don't always land the way I should, because I know sometimes I go out and no telling what I do, because I can feel it. And it's real. We dream. You can study people sleeping sometimes. And you can see them, they're smiling, having a good time. Or you can see people fighting and fearful, and they cry sometimes in their sleep. And when you wake them up, they don't always remember it. And someone told me one time, you never shake anybody out of sleep. Call their name, and they'll come back into their body.
Mm-hmm.
So. But it's a beautiful thing, and we need to wake up to what's really real, which is that 5D.
Yes, but there's also the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th dimension, and that's what I know.
I know, but we're taking baby steps right now.
Yes, but the truth of the matter is, Beverly, that we have been taking baby steps since 1984. So that would make us 18 years old, 4 from 16.
Okay.
No, 22 years old. Right?
But Joan, the reason why I say that is because I've never really shared my life with other people, because people look at you like, oh, my goodness, she's whatever. But like now, it doesn't matter, because it is what it is. What do they think the new earth and new heaven is about,
Yes.
That's the new earth and new heaven. It's not going to be limitation in 3D and, woe is me. It's going to be good and loving and more than enough. And that's what we need.
It is good and loving and more than enough. It's just that we have not denied the negative ideas that we have created around our true selves. So you have to deny and unlearn those negative ideas.
Right.
You have to say, no, that is not who I am.
Right.
And you also have to align with people who are thinking on higher levels. Let me make another suggestion to you.
Okay.
Well, it's really a question. When you sleep, are you amongst people that you feel like you know?
You mean my family?
No, it doesn't be your family.
Oh, you mean when I go into my dream state?
Yes, entities.
I always see a family member. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. They may not always be part of the story, but I always see someone that I recognize. And then if the dream turns like bad, meaning, or I shouldn't judge it, but if the dream turned into something like shooting or something like that, I stand up and I stop the program.
Right.
I stop it right then and there in my dream state. I control it.
Good. Okay, so let me say this, that for several years I dreamt that I was in an ashram. I was in like a temple. Mm-hmm. And there, each one of us has 11 other soulmates. So there are always, that's the tribe of 12. Okay?
Oh, okay.
All right. Now, of those 12 people, including myself, each one of those people has 11 soulmates. So that's 12 times 12 is 144.
Right.
That is the 144. It has nothing to do with Egypt, the tribe of Judah, none of that. It is you as an entity with 11 other beings and their 11 other beings. And they could be in different dimensions. They do not have to be in this three-dimensional existence with you. Do a little research on that. Everything that we want to know is on the internet.
Oh, yes,
Put in ashram, ASHRAM, ashram. And maybe
ASH, I'm sorry, ASH?
RAM.
RAM. Okay, I'll Google that.
So this week's assignment is to go find out about your ashram and see if you connect with those souls in the sleeping, because that's where we learn. We really don't learn the higher lessons in our waking life. Learn it when we go to sleep. So I'm going to wish everyone a very good night. Sleep tight. Dream wonderful dreams. And see if you can learn about your ashram. And we'll be talking about that next week. And thank you, Beverly, for the inspiration.
Peace and love.
And meanwhile, I'm going to say to Terry in California that I hope you write down what you saw when you went underwater, and maybe one day you'll share that with us. In the meantime, I love you all. This is MamaYAH, and I'm going to play Love Translation to lull you to sleep.